What does motherhood mean to you? Especially coming from someone that did not want to be a mom.
Wow, I feel like it's literally
Mm,
sacrificing for me, my time, my privacy, my space, my physical space. You're sacrificing a lot, but of course it's for a great reason.
Hey, mamas, and everybody else who's watching. Welcome to another sit down chat where today I have the pleasure of sitting down with a mom who I truly appreciate very much. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the others, but I but pretty much the reason why I appreciate her so much, I just remember having a lot of conversations with her, even though we're not in the same country, but we were able to conversate, especially when we were in the I call it the trenches of toddlerhood. I remember many voice messages that we were able to share between us about just different things, and it truly for me, I can speak for myself, it helped me out to realize, especially as a first time mother, that okay, it's what I was going through was pretty normal and just bounce back some of ideas, some just different because I think you're more experienced than me, so to speak. You know,
Like,
you have yeah. So it was good to have someone to talk to. Like I said, especially as a first time mom. And yeah, I appreciate her a lot. Like I find you to be very supportive, very what's the word I was looking for? Goal driven, and just to see what you're accomplishing and working on with your family and stuff is really inspiring. And so, with that being said, I'm just gonna allow her to present herself, tell us a little bit about who she is, where she's from, and I like to add this. Do you have any hobbies? Because I know some,
hobbies.
but yeah, anything you're comfortable with sharing. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you for that lovely intro. I appreciate you too. I feel like I consider myself to be a very real, honest, straightforward person. And so the conversations that we've had about motherhood definitely have been helpful to me as well. Just
Mhm.
knowing, you need that community, you need somebody that you can speak to when you're stressed out. And so I appreciate that. But my name is Tiffany Cook. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I currently reside in North Carolina, about 40 minutes outside of Raleigh. And hobbies, oh man, I feel like I am extremely goal driven. I appreciate you saying that. I I have a lot of different passions
Mhm.
and I kind of put them in like two separate categories because I have like work, which a lot of people may not even know, the career side of me. Um, when I went to college and graduated, I started in like the field of education, and then I transitioned into working in higher education. So I worked at a university for a couple years, and then I went back to the high school side where I was supporting students on their journey to college. So I do college prep advising and
Mm.
alumni support for a college prep school here in North Carolina. And by the grace of the Almighty God, they allowed me to really customize my role remotely. So I've been with them since 2019. And honestly, after I
Mm.
had my first child, I was in like a director leadership role and I felt I needed to come home and be with her. And my job, bless their heart, they wanted me to stay so bad. But I
Mhm.
just mentally was not in a space where I could fully commit to working full time and dropping my daughter off at daycare every day. I'm sure we'll get into all those things,
For
but
sure.
I cried every day and I was like, listen, I can't do this. I spoke to my husband. I ended up stepping down from that role, but they've allowed me to contract since then. And
Okay.
then finally, 2 years ago, it was crazy that it's been 2 years already. They offered me another director role, but this time they offered it to me remotely. And so,
Mm.
I go into the school whenever I need to have a meeting with a student or if we're doing like a special event, but 90% of my day is spent at home. And so they've allowed me to kind of customize it. So that's like my professional side. But in terms of like my passions, which is kind of what I've been sharing through social media, is this journey of eating healthier, learning how to make the foods that we love in a better way because of my son's eczema journey. And so I love to cook. I've always loved to cook, but I didn't really know how to make certain stuff from scratch, specifically baking. I never was a baker. So, anyway, I do have a passion for just kind of sharing healthy recipes, cooking, and just really showing that you can involve your kids in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be a benefit to the whole family when you do.
All right, that makes sense. You said a lot, so we're gonna unpack them, slowly. But I feel like it does give us a glimpse of who you are, as a person and why you're so, like you said, why you're so goal driven. Um, so we're gonna go back to the beginning, okay? So when did motherhood begin for you?
So I had my daughter in 2021.
Mm,
Yes.
okay. Was it after COVID? I don't remember. During
She
COVID?
was she was technically born during COVID,
During
yes.
COVID. Okay.
That was an interesting time.
So when you found out you were pregnant, what were the emotions that you had?
I was excited. I was
Okay.
excited. It was intentional, right? The first time it was very
People
intentional.
want to know that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we definitely were, planning. We had been married since 2018 at
Okay.
that point. So we had some time, together
Mm-hmm.
before the baby. So we found out in I think it was September 2020, and then she was born June 21.
Okay.
During COVID, yeah, during COVID.
And do you feel like because you had that time with your husband, 28, you said 2018, y'all been married since, right?
Hmm.
And she came 2021.
Hmm.
Do you feel that like that helped with maybe the happiness of you having her, expecting her? You feel like that played a part?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Us having, that time together. Me and my husband, like we met
Yeah.
pre-Holiness. Um, so we were already I had met him in Texas. So it had been years, since I'd known
Mm-hmm.
him. Then we got married, and then we had our daughter in 2021. But yes, I do think it played a factor into it, although you can never
Yeah.
fully be ready for that.
Exactly. Like as a first time mom, did you have any fears going into motherhood? Like what was it what you expected it to be once she got here?
I would say, uh, listen, I tell this to people all the time. I was never the type growing up to say, like, I want children.
Okay.
I was always the goal-driven person, like you mentioned. And, I went to college, and then I went back to college, got a master's degree. I worked, I did all that stuff before having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And once I had her, I thought that that same driven, ambitious person would stay. Although I'm here, right? She's still there, but there was like a moment where I had to pause on all of that, which is why I am grateful that I did accomplish those things prior to motherhood, because once I took a pause, I didn't feel like I was missing out or I hadn't accomplished, some of the goals that I set for myself. So I was able to really just be with her. And it, I would say it was what I expected, in the sense that, the joy that you feel when you have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was a lot of stuff that I just, I didn't know as well, even though, people try to tell you things and warn you. But I would say overall, it was a very joyous time. I feel like my next two pregnancies were a little rougher, for
Okay.
sure. My
Okay, like
daughter, she was like the smoothest experience of the three.
okay, and can you explain like why? Why are you saying that?
Well, I'll say smoothest in this regard. I was not sick during my pregnancy with her.
Mm.
I had like a really smooth pregnancy. And I think also because it's the first time you're like super excited. So
Yeah,
the aches and pains and things that happen during pregnancy, you're more like you're more willing to withstand
exactly. Yeah.
because it's the first time and you also don't know what to expect. But for the most part, I was not sick with her. I was able to, walk and just get out. Me and my husband still were spontaneous. We would just get up in the at 11 o'clock and go, you know, to the store and get snacks. Or we were still just living, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? We were
That
still
makes
just
sense.
living and I was just pregnant. I just so happened to be pregnant. So my experience with her pregnancy, with the pregnancy with my daughter, it really didn't get interested until like the very last minute, which I had to be induced and all that stuff. But for the most part, the pregnancy was easy.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing, and it's relatable because you're pregnant. You're just that's the only difference. You don't have a
yeah,
toddler nagging at you, and compared to like when you have your first, and then you get
yes,
pregnant with a second, and it's like that's a whole different ball game, which we
yeah.
probably will get into as well. But there is a question that came to my mind before you had your daughter. You obviously had experience in the work field. How was the transition as for you mentally to go from that to like being a mom?
I honestly felt like I even say this to this day, like I didn't know who I was becoming. I
Okay.
felt like, again, and when I say, I don't say it to brag or anything, but like being ambitious, which is a part of who I am. I always got good grades in school, went to college, graduated, applied for master's program. Like I excelled in all of that, excelled in my job. And then when I moved to North Carolina from Texas for another job, I started to excel there. And then I moved up and they made me like a director over a department. I was supervising people, all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I had this baby, it's like my brain literally rewired and I would come to work, me, the supervisor, having to supervise four other people. And now they're encouraging me because I'm literally crying at work. I'm like, I just dropped my baby off at daycare. And thank God for those women that I used to supervise. They were so gracious towards me. And they really just met me where I was in that moment. But I was like, I never wanted children.
Mm.
My twin sister always was the one who loved to work with little kids to this day. She's getting ready to open up a daycare.
Wow.
She's always known that. For me, and it's interesting that I even work in education, but I work with older students, like college
Mm-hmm.
and high school students. But I never said I wanted children. I always thought that I would just be goal driven. But thank God, for meeting the right man, and things happen in the way that it did in that way. Like I was able to see like, oh, having a family is can be a part of this plan.
Yeah.
So, but I felt lost in the sense that I didn't believe that I would want this life, meaning being a
Mm.
stay-at-home mom for that period of time. I didn't believe that I ever would have wanted to this person that I am today, right? Like I always say, like I'm like Martha Stewart or something. Like I make jokes with myself, but I'm like, I never envisioned this for me. Not that I am not happy. It's just I truly believe that when you have a baby, things just change. And you sometimes you don't understand it. You're like, why am
Mm-hmm.
I, this way? But there is something inside, I believe, every woman who wants to be close to their baby, at least the first year of their life. And so me leaving that job, and like I said, my supervisor, who is still my supervisor today, he gave me so many different alternatives. He said, "What if you take a sabbatical and then come back?" Like he wanted me to stay in my position, but I just knew that I couldn't. But it worked out in the way that God wanted it to work out because the position I have now is still within the department. It's just I get to do it in a more flexible way. The first role that I had, I would have never been able to do it remotely because you kind of do need to be inside the school building,
Okay.
that job. Yeah.
That makes sense. And so that's crazy that you did not want to have kids. I would not be able to like I would not have
Yeah,
known
I
that.
used to be like, ew, kids are nasty. I literally literally did not even want kids to touch me. I'm like, they're germy,
Oh my gosh.
all of that stuff. But it's crazy that every job that I've ever had something to do with kids.
Okay. And like you said, you were crying at work. So how long after she was born did you return to work?
So, like in the school system, you get like the traditional, what is it, 9 weeks or something like that?
Okay.
Weeks, 9 weeks. I don't know. She was like 2 months. She was like 2 months when I went back to work, and she wasn't
Oh
even
my
far.
gosh.
She wasn't even far. Thankfully, the school that I work at, so I'm at the high school, but we also have a middle school and an elementary school. The elementary school is like right around the corner from the high school, and they also have a daycare attached to it
Mm,
that the school kind of partners with. So she went to that daycare. Most of my coworkers' kids were there, and
okay.
I literally could get to her in like 5 minutes, but
Okay.
I couldn't do it. The first day that I showed up, I remember one of the teachers, I'm like literally, I dropped her off. It was during COVID, so everybody has masks. You can't actually go inside. So I couldn't really go inside to meet the teachers, to really scope the place out. I only could go off of my coworkers who,
Wow.
oh, we love it. Like we send our kids there and we just drive around the corner, to work. So I already felt uncomfortable that I couldn't really vet the place in the way that I would have wanted to. So then
Hmm.
I'm having to literally hand her to the person at the door and I'm crying. And so my coworker, I'll never forget, she was like, this is the first day, your first day back at work. All you have to do is show up. Like if you don't do anything else, you don't have to worry about meetings, you don't have to worry about goals. She said, just show up today. And you showed up. So yeah, I was a hot mess that day.
Can imagine.
Then going to work, I'm like looking at they send pictures, through the
Mm,
app. They're sending pictures and I'm like, how's she doing? Like it was torturous to be
two months.
because you could see her in the window. They take her and then they're getting all the other kids, so they're putting her on like a little pillow, and I'm just looking at her. She's crying and I'm
Oh
crying
my.
and I'm like, this is terrible.
I cannot I cannot relate to that. And just like hearing just that I could feel it. I
Yeah.
can feel it and I probably would have quit.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I did not
I just
I didn't think that I would feel that way. That's the thing. I'm thinking, oh, she's going
oh
to
yeah?
again, I have my job, I'm successful in my job. I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna go. I mean, I was a little nervous, but I didn't think that it would hit me that hard. And so once going back to work, trying to resume business as usual, again, I'm supervising 4 people. I have to meet with them individually. We have goals as a team that we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish. I couldn't really focus. I
My
really couldn't.
goodness.
Yeah.
And then when you transitioned to working from home, you were still working full time or
No, this was in for like two
like a
years. It was more of like a part-time capacity. So I
okay,
was
okay,
training the next person who was going to take my previous role, then
okay.
just helping out because I was, really well versed in the department. So they allowed me to kind of help out from home. And then it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it wasn't until July of 2024 that they offered me because one of the ladies that I supervised, she ended up leaving. And she worked with our alumni, so the high school students who graduated, she supported them, kind of tracking them through school, making sure they, had what they needed to be successful. So they offered me her job when she left.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my kids are not at the time, not in daycare, none of that stuff. And my supervisor, I remember him saying, I want you to make this job work around your family, not the other way around. And so
Wow.
okay, if this is what you want, I will accept the position. They gave me the salary I asked for. They gave me everything that I asked for, and I
Wow.
work from home. So that's why I say all glory to God, because there is literally very few people in the whole organization that has the type of schedule that I have.
That's a true, true blessing for the Lord allowing that to be for you because
Yes.
a lot of mothers they don't really have that opportunity, especially like your boss that is very wants to work with you. So it just that's a beautiful thing. And I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that if you can let me know if that was wrong. if it's wrong, but that can definitely help you within your postpartum experience, especially because you were a first time mom. Like let's say it was a different way around, that probably, your postpartum experience probably would have been like different, if that makes sense, because now you're stressing about this, you're stressing about that in
All
terms of
about
like
work.
if
Yes,
yeah, if
yes,
your boss
yes,
wasn't cooperative, didn't want to like help you out and stuff like that, that would
yes.
probably impact it in a different way.
Oh yes, I would have been left this organization. But again, even like this third postpartum experience, they're like, tell us
Yeah.
when you're ready to come back
Wow.
with you. I mean, it's just been a blessing.
Beautiful. So out of your three pregnancies, which one was your, can I say favorite? I
Yeah, I
hope
mean, I
your
have
kids don't
I
take
have
offense
favorite
to
aspects. No, I have favorite aspects of each one. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned, my daughter's pregnancy was easy.
Yeah.
My first son, his birth was extremely quick, although
Okay.
he gave me a rough pregnancy. But this third baby, I had a very rough pregnancy, but a beautiful home birth. Like that was, so I had three different experiences each time.
Okay.
So I think I have a favorite part of each of their birth.
So I'm interested to go into it because I remember you made a video about I believe it was your third pregnancy,
Hmm.
and I was so into it. I'm like,
Oh, about the
you
home
know,
birth.
yes, the home birth. But so for your first, did you have a midwife? Did you OB? Like how did I go?
I feel like with each child, I learned more. And so I
Okay.
was able to incorporate new things. First baby, I don't know. This is me in 2021. All the things that I know now, all the things that I share on social media, all that stuff, I didn't know then. So with her birth, I tried and I wanted to go natural,
Okay.
but I ended up having to be induced with her. Because I was induced, they gave me like, it was like a cascade of medications, which caused different interventions and then the pain level because they gave me that, medication that kind of speeds up your contractions.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I had two natural births afterwards and I was able to compare when they give you that medication and your body is not able to naturally do what it's supposed to do, you really don't have time to recuperate in between the contractions. And so the first time I ended up
Mm.
getting the epidural because I'm like, this is not normal. Like I can't recover from a contraction because you are giving me this medication and it's speeding things up from like 0 to 100. So I ended up getting the epidural and I had her that way. I've never had a C-section, thank God. So I had her, I did have a midwife
Okay.
during that pregnancy, but it was like a practice where they rotate the providers. So,
Oh.
you could get a physician and like a traditional OBGYN or a midwife. I had a midwife, but she was like a midwife that worked in the hospital. And I feel like there's some differences in the way that they give care because she didn't really support me during my actual labor. She was just kind of there, I felt. She wasn't giving me pain management techniques. She wasn't doing any of the things that would have helped me to withstand the contractions. The second time I
So
gave birth.
before,
Okay.
can we pause right there? 'Cause-
Yeah.
So for the first, is there anything that you think you could have done differently to better prepare yourself for your pregnancy journey? And I'm assuming you had like appointments with your
Mhm.
midwife and stuff like that. Like, were there any questions that you were able to ask? Like,
Yeah.
how did that go? Because I'm actually surprised that you said that she didn't really help y'all like
Mm-mm.
that.
She wasn't, like I said, I saw like a mixture of midwives and physician, like
Okay.
OB/GYNs during that pregnancy. And I think again, because it was the first time, I was kind of nervous to push the baby out. Like I didn't have the confidence. I feel like if you want to go natural, it's a mental thing. You have to
Definitely.
mentally commit to it. And I wasn't like 100% committed.
Okay.
Because I wasn't 100% committed, I gave up a little bit easier than the last two births, right? And so Could I have done things better? Yes. I could have probably researched like pain management techniques, but I was in a birth class. Like I did all the things. But
Mm,
again, I don't think I mentally made it up in my, because me, I'm stubborn. If I mentally make it up in my mind that I'm going to do it, if with the Lord's help, I will do it, right? But that time I was like, just give me the pain medicine. I was only at 4 centimeters. My contractions, I like to say, were like very violent towards my body at that point. I wasn't able to recover in between them. And then the midwife was literally just kind of sitting there. I remember my husband and my twin sister, they were like giving me, counter pressure and doing all the things, but I couldn't make it because they kept upping the medication. And again, I'm not educated as I am
mm-hmm.
down to be able to say, slow the dosage down. Let's try a different technique. Let's get in the shower. Let's do all those things. I
Wow.
wasn't as educated at that point.
Okay, that makes total sense. And I feel like
Yeah.
this might definitely help someone, especially a first time mom, um, and just anybody, that wants to know. So now going into your second birth, what's the difference with that one?
So my son, I mean, I was just sick a lot. I threw up like every day for a really long time with him. And I used to be like, you better give me a good, swift, easy delivery because he was literally putting me through it. He was 9 pounds. His head was just like in the wrong spot for a long time. So he was like putting so much pressure on my pelvic, muscles. I was in pain towards the end of the pregnancy. I needed help like literally rolling out the bed. But this time I'm a little bit more educated. I'm like, okay, I want to go natural. I know now that you should stay at home for as long as you can until it's time to go. So that's exactly what I did. I had my first contraction. We all wake up, it's like 12 midnight at this point. And I just stayed in the bed, like, or I got on the birth ball. Like I did little stuff at home,
Okay.
kept the lights dim, tried to rest. And then at about like maybe 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., I had that first like really big contraction. I'm like, oh, it's time to go. Because we were at this point like 48 minutes away from the hospital. So I'm in active labor, going down the steps, going outside. I have to pause and stop to go through my contractions. Then we had to drop my daughter off at one of the sisters' houses. So I'm like in the car, like, in active labor, get to the hospital. He was born at like 5:56 a.m. He came
Okay.
very fast. Like they barely had time to get me on the bed. He came really quickly. So that was that experience, but I was in a lot of pain afterwards because my pelvic muscles and my stomach muscles, he just really tore me up. So
9 pound baby.
I was in a lot of pain after that birth. So physically, it was harder for me to recover the second
Okay.
time. But I did have him naturally without medication.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
And within you being a second time mom, going from one to two, how was that for you? Because you said you were in pain.
Hmm.
You have a little girl. Like, how did that go for you? How'd you
Yes.
survive?
Yes. They're only 18 months apart. So I found out I was pregnant. I would think my daughter was like 9 months. So that was a shock. Like, oh, okay. Um, I was in pain. The very first day, my husband did not have the job that he has now with the first two babies. So
Okay.
he had to go back to work shortly, like 2 days or so. And when I say I cry, I'm like, I have like really steep steps in our house. I didn't even know how I was going to get down the steps with a baby and a toddler who could literally barely walk or was just learning to walk at the time. I cried and I called my mom. And I cried, and she was like, I'm gonna come over. Like the first day she
Um,
couldn't come over. So I reached out to one of the sisters who has a daughter who had just graduated from college, and I asked her, can she come and sit with Lillian, with my daughter for the day so that I can tend to this baby? And I'm trying to learn how to breastfeed and all this stuff. And so she came that day, but then the second day, my husband had to go, and then she couldn't come. So that's when I literally had a meltdown. I cried on the phone to my mom, and she ended up coming over to help me out. But I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna walk down the steps. I'm sore. Mind you, I didn't have a C-section. He was just big, and he and put like my muscles were all over the place. And so my mom came and she helped me, but shortly after she had to leave. And so it was literally me and these two babies. And then my husband at the time was working like 12-hour shifts. So he wouldn't get home
Wow.
until after 6 o'clock. Sometimes he would have to work till like 9 o'clock at night. And it would just be me and the two babies. It was a lot mentally. It was a lot.
Let's dig deep into it. If that's okay.
Sure.
You know, mentally, what did you go through? You said you were obviously crying and, calling your mama. And we're gonna go into the support that you did have as well, but like mentally, what did that do to you? Like,
It was hard. I mean, I have a very involved husband. So when he's home, he's like 100% on, but he literally just couldn't be there during that time.
mm-hmm,
And my mom, who was only living about 40 minutes away, shortly after I had my second baby, she moved an hour and a half away. So she couldn't get to me as quickly. And my twin
mm,
sister was also an hour and a half away. So they couldn't get to me as quickly. So it literally was just me and the two babies. I believe, obviously, like, something in me had to just get over it. There's a sister in California. I was texting her. I don't even know how we connected. I tell her this story all the time. And she I was texting her and just literally, I guess I was like moping at the time. I didn't realize it, but I was like in the thick of just stress, like mentally,
mm.
physically. And she listened to me, but then she like I can't remember exactly what she said, but she basically was like, snap out of it. She gave me
Okay.
some tough love. She was like,
Yeah.
you're going to get through this. It is not the end of the world. She wasn't harsh or nothing. She
Mm-hmm.
gave me the real, like, warm, firm love that I needed in the moment because I was so stuck in the trenches. I was so stuck in what I was going through. I literally could not see like the joy in it. And she gave me that tough love, and I will never forget her for that. Because I needed to hear it in that moment. So eventually, as my second born got, bigger, I wasn't able to breastfeed, but I was pumping around the clock, and that was also another stressor. But once I got a rhythm, I started taking them kids out, to the
Yeah.
library. We was going to the park. We would go wherever I needed to go. I started getting out the house more. Essentially, I feel like in motherhood, you have to gain that confidence because I don't necessarily struggle with postpartum depression. I struggle with postpartum anxiety. I get
Okay.
anxious about is the baby breathing or, in the beginning, both of my first two children had to go to the hospital really early on for like breathing issues, or my son wasn't, um, I think he had jaundice in the beginning or something. I couldn't take them to the hospital because I was too nervous to be in the car with them while they were crying. So guess who did it?
Mm,
My husband. My husband packed them kids up. Well, first, it was my daughter. He packed her up. He took her to the hospital, and I'm just kind of like, how's she doing? Like, I couldn't do it.
wow.
There was one time I had to go with them because she had to have like this little procedure. And then with my second
Okay.
one, same thing. I stayed home with the daughter. He took my son to the hospital, and he just stepped in for me in that way because I just get too nervous. And then once the baby gets to be about like 2.5, almost 3 months, where they kind of stop crying so much in the
Mm-hmm.
car and they settle down, that's when I feel a little bit more comfortable. But I know that about myself.
Okay, that makes sense. I remember I experienced something similar as well with my second where I think I was telling you this boy don't stop crying in the car and
Yeah,
you were kind of
yeah.
helping me out with that.
We
But
had to take my son to the chiropractor.
okay,
We ended
yeah,
up
you
taking
told
him
me.
to the chiropractor because apparently, because he came out so fast, they said that he could have suffered like some trauma to his back.
Wow.
We don't think about this with babies, right? Like they're coming out,
Mm-hmm.
the birth canal is narrow, right? So that he suffered some trauma from his back, and so he got adjusted a couple times, stopped
Okay.
crying in the car
Wow.
completely. Yeah.
That's some good information to know. Like you said, we don't really think about the
Yes.
babies.
Hmm.
Wow, okay. And well, first off, I want to say thank God for your husband. Thank God for that sister. Thank God for
Hmm.
your mama. Thank God for your
Hmm.
sister.
Yes.
Naturally. that you at least had that village, even though they, like you said, they weren't near, but you were able
Mhm.
to pick up that phone call and they were able to show up in the way that they could,
Mhm.
which was another true blessing.
Yes.
Um, Now, Sister Tiffany, what does motherhood mean to you? Especially coming from someone that did not want to be a mom. Now that you're in it,
Sounds
like what does
terrible.
it mean to you? I know, eh?
Um, wow, I feel like it's literally
Mm,
sacrificing for me, my time, my privacy, my space, my physical space. I am not a physical touch kind of person. I can, and kids, they just want to be around you all the time. I always say it with my son, my second born, if he could like crawl in my skin, live there, he would, because now that he's getting a little bit older, before he was attached to me just for comfort, right? And I think he still is now because he's only 3, but now he's starting to kind of get a little personality, learn who I am. And he's learning like, oh, this is my mom. Like, I'm gonna just give her kisses all day. Like he'll just come up to me and kiss me on the cheek or
oh,
me on the forehead and walk away. Or he say, you're the best sweet cooker, mommy. Like, just say, give me compliments all day. But sometimes that can be overwhelming because when I say he lives right here,
hmm,
always here. And then of course the oldest child, they learn to be more mature and they learn she's a little older than him, so she understands like, okay, mommy probably needs a break, so I can't step in, but I can see that from afar, she too wants to be close by. So I have to
okay.
invite her in so that she doesn't feel left out. And then we have the baby who just literally needs to be by me, so I can feed him, all of those things. So for me, motherhood is truly sacrifice. You're sacrificing a lot, but of course, it's for a great reason.
Definitely.
Sorry, I
The
gotta
kids.
take a sip.
Yeah. And so obviously that probably comes with overstimulated. Do you relate to that? How do you deal with that? Like, especially when you're like, mm-mm, not today, not today.
Well, now that my husband, like I said, this third baby,
Okay.
this experience has been totally different because his job now is very flexible. He works like a hybrid remote type of position. And ever since I had the baby, he just started going back into the office. But prior to me having the baby, probably around like 36, 37 weeks, he was working like fully remote from home. And
Okay.
so get these kids. That's literally what I get your kids. But he's good at knowing when I'm over.
Okay.
I'm like, back up, give me some space. And he's like, all right, let's go outside. Like he'll take them
Wow.
outside or he'll do something with them or again, even in the very beginning, like I didn't come downstairs with this third pregnancy and birth experience. I didn't come downstairs for like the first 2 weeks or so. Like I stayed upstairs, and this was under the advisement of my midwife. This midwife that I had the third time, top tier experience, but they were like, if you can avoid it, if your husband is there, don't walk the steps. I didn't have a C-section, none of that stuff, but they really stressed the importance of postpartum healing. And so many
Mm,
women don't heal properly postpartum because they're up moving. A lot of them are doing it because they have to.
yeah.
But my husband was home and I didn't have to. He brought me my food, he brought me my drinks. He brought me the baby so I could feed him. And if I needed a nap, he would take the baby. Even early on, strapped the baby on him, took the kids outside. Like he was doing
Wow.
that so that I could literally rest. And that was the difference this third time around.
That's a
He
blessing.
knows
And
when to take a break.
if you can answer this, was he also being educated while, like, let's say when you had your first, when you had your second, about like pregnancy, what women go through, what even
Yeah.
men possibly could go through, like was he educated?
Yeah, definitely. With each pregnancy, we learn more. And I'm a researcher. I'm always researching, and then I bring the information to him. We discuss it. He's like, you'd probably be annoyed. But I always have to research. And so because we were going through this eczema thing with my second born, that caused us to go down this spiral, so to speak, of like healthier living, holistic measures, home birth, like that's where the whole conversation came in. So we're both learning together as we are changing our food and how we do things in the home. That transferred into how do we want this this third birth to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned home birth to him, and he was like, at first he wasn't on board because it's like the what ifs, the
Yeah,
possibilities. So we had to educate ourselves and, speak to the midwife team. And, we can get into that story if you want, but
definitely.
we were both learning together. So he knows now. I could send him, he knows enough now to be able to do, what it is that needs to be done in the way that I would want it done, basically.
So it definitely does take a team and a
Yeah.
educated man to really understand the process
Mhm.
of pregnancy, postpartum, and everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
just, as you explain your story, it just showcased that like the benefit of him being aware of all of these things. So that's a blessing. I know I keep saying that's a blessing, but when you really think about pregnancy, and I think there was a sister
Life or
that said
death.
exactly, she's
Yeah.
like, you're literally close to death. Like that's probably
Yeah.
the closest, you're gonna be. Um, so I'm gonna keep saying it. It's a blessing when a mom was able
Yeah.
to go through that and recover
Pick
from
it up.
it.
Yeah.
And even for the baby, it's just I just really want to people to understand like it's not
It's
simple,
serious.
it's serious. It's really
Yeah.
serious. There's a lot that impacts it, you know. Awareness is a big thing. Um
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. This third pregnancy, there was so many things that happened in terms of like medical emergencies or like just
okay.
medical things that came up that you would not think about. And again, it was because I had strong midwives, advocates,
Mm,
and then my husband, that team of people really advocating for me um in some regard, and in terms of one of the incidents that happened, like really saved my life.
yeah. Pick your people wisely, mamas.
Yes, yes.
Um so now there's some things that you touched on. I'm gonna probably mention it down the line, but for you, what does self-care look like to you? Probably not right now because you still got a newborn, but what does it look like to you? Like as you transition as to a mom or someone that's wasn't a mom to now having three kids, what does that look like to you?
For me, um, it is hard. Like
I seen the deep
like
breath.
I know what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
Getting in the car and taking a drive, which I can do that. I can do that. But because I'm breastfeeding, it's a little bit
Hmm.
harder to leave the baby. So, you have to be close by. But what I will say is that I am just starting to implement again some self-care for myself, meaning I'm starting to work out again. Like, I was
Okay.
very consistent and I had never been somebody who worked out, but prior to becoming pregnant this third time, I was extremely consistent in working out and I took that time for myself. So, you know, the kids are with dad, I'm doing my workout, I'm doing my shower, my skincare routine. Like I love to do my skincare routine and nurture myself in that way, or make my favorite treat and just have it by myself,
Mm,
or my husband takes the bigger kids to the store and I'm just home with the baby and I just literally get time to sit quietly. My mom always jokes with me when everybody leaves the house. She's like, "You're not watching TV?" I'm like, "I don't want to watch TV. I don't even want to hear
mm-hmm.
nothing. I can literally sit on the couch, relaxing by myself with, a matcha latte or, just something small. So right now, that's what self-care looks like for me.
That's beautiful. Like sometimes it doesn't look like the way we want to, and that's okay. And I feel like that's another reason why some of us probably end up going crazy because we're pushing for something that in reality it's
Yeah.
not the time for that. You
Yeah.
know, like some of us may want to be taking like an hour long shower and we can't. So
Yeah.
then, sometimes we're fixating on that. We're like, bruh, like, oh, like I want to take the shower, but you can't, and I
Yeah.
just feel like just
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, of course, and definitely the person that you're with, your husband, does play a
Exactly.
role in that as well. So
Yes.
I'm glad we talked about that. And you mentioned breastfeeding. I want to go into that because when it's definitely a beautiful thing. It's a blessing to be able to breastfeed,
But it's hard.
whatever time you could do it. But for me personally, that affects the mind. People might not understand that, but especially if you are someone that's not touchy like that, you can't deal with what they call it, touched out. You get touched out. So breastfeeding, although once again it's a privilege, for me, it really had a big part in the struggles that I had mentally. For example, when you go to church,
Oh my gosh.
you see a mama's, and if I could, honestly, if I could bottle feed, I would, but I just know that mentally that within itself is a lot. But so I'm like, okay, let me just breastfeed and push through. But then you're like, when you're when you're in a space where like, you want to enjoy the environment, you want to enjoy the conversation that I'm having with mom, you want to enjoy the word, you want to be able to do just things, that maybe bottle fed kids could do and or moms could do and formula whatever. But how was that for you? Because it's like sometimes you wonder like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah. Well, this is actually my first time exclusively breastfeeding.
Okay.
So again, I didn't know what I know now, my first pregnancy. The first pregnancy, like I said, mentally, I think I was like, well, if this is how it has to be, this is how it'll be.
Mm,
Struggling with breastfeeding in the beginning, and then I'm listening to people say, just give her formula. Like, why are you stressing yourself out? Why are you like they didn't understand the benefits of
mm-hmm.
breastfeeding, how good it is for the baby, not only their immune system, but their oral health and their mental health, all of that is so good
And
for
their
the baby.
skin.
Their skin, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
get into that.
Yeah.
So I was struggling to breastfeed and literally I remember crying. And one of the sisters, like I said, she's a part of my village as well. And
Mm-hmm.
she came over and I remember crying in the room and she's trying to help me latch and all that stuff. And I was like, this is going to be the thing that causes me to have postpartum depression.
Wow.
This was my first pregnancy. So I couldn't get it right. And then I had seen lactation consultants
Mm-hmm.
and the lady, she just wasn't helpful. And again, I didn't know what I knew now. So I ended up formula feeding my daughter. So that was that, right?
Yeah.
Then we get to my second born. I said, I'm adamant about breastfeeding. I want to breastfeed, but then I'm having trouble latching him as well. He might have had like a tongue tie or something that I didn't
Mm,
know enough about to get corrected. But I said, at least let me commit to pumping. So I pump exclusively day and night with two little kids. I'm pumping. It was a lot, but I committed to it. This third time around, I said, I want to exclusively breastfeed. And it's like, you got to be careful what you ask for because now, you know, God allowed me to do that. But I'm like, I literally am chained to this chair sometimes all day. Like, I
mm-hmm.
cannot get anything done. But I didn't start off with a good latch, so to speak. I had
Okay.
to work for it. Like I always say, breastfeeding doesn't come easy. For me, I had to learn. I would cry like early in the early days postpartum. I'm crying. My husband's trying to help me. I remember one morning, like 7 a.m. I'm on Google, like mobile lactation consultants. I need somebody that can come to me like
Mm-hmm.
today to help me so that I don't give up because I was
Wow.
again determined not to give up. I found a lady, thank God, she had a cancellation. She came to my house, and because of her, I'm still exclusively breastfeeding to this day. I had started pumping, but I'm like, I don't want to pump and breastfeed because I don't want to create an oversupply. I already have like a really strong letdown,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I don't want to create an oversupply, so I met with her twice, and I'm still breastfeeding because of it. But it was not easy, and it is not easy currently, like you said, because you feel like you miss out on stuff, like you're not able to
Mm-hmm.
just go and enjoy your time out. You got to worry about, I got to get back to feed my baby, or the baby has to come with you, or like you mentioned, church.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the temples don't have the best space for you to breastfeed. So sometimes you breastfeed in like a closet or,
Mm-hmm.
not a closet, not a literal closet, but you're breastfeeding
Yeah.
in like a space that's not extremely comfortable for you to breastfeed in. So
Mm-hmm.
it is a true, again, going back to what is motherhood, a sacrifice to do this for
Mm-hmm.
your child.
Exactly. 'Cause I was gonna ask you, somebody might be listening to you and be like, okay, you're saying you want to breastfeed, you're breastfeeding, you're saying it's a struggle. Well, somebody might be like, is it worth it?
Why?
Yeah.
Yes. My third baby has zero skin issues. My
Mm.
first, she had like an eczema patch on her chin, and it went away after we stopped the formula and I started cooking her food, right? So I'm kind of slowly starting to learn, oh, let's cook her food fresh. I never wanted to give her food from the package, so we pureed all her food, we cooked it, all that stuff. My second born son, horrible eczema. So I ended up having to give him like a goat milk formula towards the end because my milk
Okay.
supply like went away once my cycle came back. And that's
Okay.
another thing I wasn't aware of. So I pumped so much, and then eventually he started doing like a goat milk formula. But his eczema, terrible. And it could be a combination of formula and some other things that I won't even go into all that. But his skin, horrible. To this day, he still has like some patches on his legs that we know are triggered by certain foods. So we're constantly having to switch his foods and
Mm.
make sure he's not eating this and make sure he's not eating that. My third baby, zero skin issues, like
Wow.
at all. He's like the healthiest baby of the three.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned food and stuff like that. So I know you have, can we call it a company? A brand? A brand. What do we call
It's
healthy swap at home?
Yes, I mean it is my larger vision is to bring Charlie and Co. That's the business. Charlie and
Okay.
Co. is the business. Yeah. That's my overall goal is to bring that to the world, so to speak.
Okay.
But I'm starting with just my social media page and sharing, our journey in healthy eating.
So now that we know that you have this goal, where how can I word this question? Why are you so adamant about choosing the right food for your kids? Like, you know, yeah, why are you so adamant about cooking it at home from scratch as much as possible?
Yeah. Like I've been saying this whole entire interview, like I did
Mm-hmm.
not start off like this. I've always been
Mm-hmm.
somebody who cooked,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of reading ingredients, learning about where the food is grown, produced, all of that, it did not start until I had my son because we had to stop feeding him certain stuff. Like once he turned 1 and he started eating real foods, we were giving him stuff that we didn't even know was triggering his skin. And so I'm super passionate about it. One, because I feel like our community, we just eat what's familiar. And you can still eat what's familiar, but in a better way.
Mm.
And that's really my who I want to speak to when I share this information is like you can still have the things that you love, but get rid of the things that is going to cause the inflammation, which is going to trigger skin problems. Or get rid of the things that's going to cause you to be extremely fatigued. And to bring it back to the kids, I've seen the difference, like visually. Me and my husband have seen the difference in giving our kids processed foods like junk, right? They've gotten to the point, and mind you, they're only 3 and 4. They've gotten to the point where they will tell us, this is too sweet and won't eat it.
Okay.
Or we have this saying where I'll tell them, listen to your body. If your body says that it's full, don't keep eating it. And they'll say, my body is full. I don't want any more. Or I'm going to save it for later. Like we're teaching them healthy eating habits. And also because we're cooking things from home, like a green juice that we make is that's juice. That's exciting for them as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, buying something from the store. Now, again, I also want to preface this by saying you don't have to eat the way we eat. Like everybody can make those adaptations, they can adapt to their lifestyle, to their budget.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can make simple swaps, cooking the things that you have in your kitchen, right? If you could only just buy food at the store and cook it, whether it's organic, non-organic, whatever, that's better than eating processed foods. And you're going to see the difference in your kids mentally, cognitively, their academic ability. They're going to be sharper when you stop giving them junk food, honestly. Like, and I don't think people do it purposely. Like, people are not just purposely trying to hurt their children. Nobody wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the back of the ingredients and you realize this isn't here and this isn't here, and when I give it to my child, they're more hyperactive, right?
Definitely.
Like they're all I could go on and on and on, but
Yeah.
really,
I was trying to keep my laugh because as you were speaking, there's a video that you posted. I don't know if it was you or your husband. I think it was on Charlie and Cole where it was like, uh, about picky eaters. I think you
uh-huh.
said something like
Oh
your
yeah.
kids.
He said, we were talking about that the other day. He said, your kids are not picky eaters, you just can't
Yeah.
cook. It's
So
the truth.
yeah, like that came to my mind, and I feel like because I see, what you post, and it's a beautiful thing that you can like include your kids as you're making the food. I feel like does that have a part into
Yeah,
them
a
wanting to
hundred
like
percent.
indulge?
A hundred
So
percent. Yes.
that's beautiful. So what are some values you want to instill in your kids and why?
Wow, that's a good question. Obviously, a love for the faith, a love for God, like that
Mm-hmm.
goes, without saying. I I'm a really big, I like for kids to be able to advocate for themselves and communicate
Mm.
well. Like I feel like I hate when people talk to kids like "Goo, goo, goo, goo." I don't like that. Drives me absolutely nuts. Even from like a young
Yes.
age, I feel like I know that when you communicate with a child, a baby, like a person, and you use real words, that they will be better communicators. Like they'll speak better. And I want for my kids to be able to advocate for themselves, to speak up when somebody's doing something to them that they don't like. I want them to be confident in their abilities. Um, and I want them to be, everybody says they want their kids to be good people, but I don't know, I want them to be better than me.
Yeah.
That answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. Whatever way you feel, that you want to answer it, it's the best answer. I feel like,
Yeah.
as long as it's true
That was a
to
good question. I don't think I even
it caught
thought.
you off guard.
Yes, I feel like I need to think deeper on that.
People be like, really? Aren't you a mom? Did you have 4 years to think about?
No, that's like a deep question. Obviously,
Yeah,
like you want them to have a love for God. That's
yeah.
number one, put God first. But like, who do I want them to be? I
Mm-hmm.
want them to be good people. I want them to know how to like those are all things, but like what values? What
You definitely mentioned like taking care of their body. Those are
their
values.
body,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was about to
And
say
just
take care of their mental and their physical body for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And do you feel like we didn't touch on homeschool? Are you comfortable with going into it a little bit? Homeschool?
Sure.
Is that a reason why you and your husband, I don't know where y'all at. I think we spoke about it a little bit, but
Hmm.
I don't recall. Is that a reason why one of your goals is to homeschool? Because I personally feel like values does have a big part into it. And would you say because you worked in the school system, you've seen probably, I don't know how many kids you've seen, but you've seen a lot, I'm sure.
Crazy.
Um, how does that impact you as a mom?
That's a great question. So, my thoughts on all of this are ever evolving and ever
Hmm.
changing, which we spoke about recently.
Yeah.
I think I would love to homeschool. Me and my husband, we talk about it. We would love to homeschool. We both have flexible jobs, but even with our flexible jobs, we still are accountable to those jobs,
Hmm.
right? But we also have goals that we are trying to accomplish that will allow us even more flexibility to homeschool and do the things that we want to do. Thankfully, our kids are really young
Hmm.
and we've been with them this entire time. Like they did go to school for like, a couple short spurts of time.
Yeah.
But we are thinking about the idea of school maybe for a year or so while we are building something great, so to
Hmm.
speak. Because again, like we both have goals and I think homeschool is great if you don't work. If you don't work, right? And I feel like I have a lot of things that I'm doing. I don't, by the grace of God, I'm like balancing all the things. I'm like, I'm balancing all the things, but it's still a lot. And when you want your kids to learn what they're supposed to learn, I know at this young age, I'm not putting the pressure on them to learn in like a structured environment because they're so small. And a lot of kids this age learn through play. So they learn by cooking with us. They learn by being outside. They learn in nature, but you have to be ready as the parent. You have to have the capacity mentally as the
Hmm.
parent and physically as a parent to be able to give your child the undivided attention that it requires to homeschool.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the mental capacity and the physical capacity because you have other demands, then it may not be the best fit. Maybe once my third baby gets a little bit bigger, like I mentioned before, some days when he wants to nurse all day, I'm sitting in the chair and I have to like carry him around, make the other kids food if my husband is not home. It's a lot. And so our desire is to homeschool when the time is right.
That's a beautiful thing that you and your husband as parents can keep it real with yourselves, and once again it's about
It's hard.
yeah,
Well,
it's
as a mom,
sacrifice,
you feel
definitely.
guilty. You feel
And
guilty as a mom.
and I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you that because I think there's a period of time where you did share, I don't know, that your husband was homeschooling them. Did you feel is that correct?
Well, I mean, I don't even, I guess I could call it homeschooling.
Well, I seen him probably teaching them somewhat, but
Well, yes, we were doing that, but this was like my early postpartum days, which is
yeah.
like it just wasn't sustainable.
But did you feel guilty seeing your husband in that role? Because yeah, go ahead.
Um, I didn't, let me see. I think my husband's a better teacher.
Okay.
I am like the serious academic person
Mm.
in the house. So like sometimes I might annoy them. I might go a little bit overboard. My husband brings the fun. I think that
Okay.
there's like a balance, and
Mm.
because of his work schedule, especially in the beginning, he had a lot of time off. So he was
Okay.
doing a lot at that time. But now that he's back into work and he may go in 2 days a week or so, we don't have the time to commit to it.
Yeah.
I felt left out in the sense that I'm in the room with the baby, resting, which
Mm.
I needed to do postpartum, and he's in there having fun and they're playing and stuff, but I didn't feel guilty. I
Okay.
feel more guilty now thinking about what's going to happen in the next year.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because I have my job that has been so gracious to me, to be able to do it from home and all the things. And I want for my daughter who's been asking, she wants to be around other kids and things like that. I'm not at the point in my postpartum yet where I'm wrangling all three kids and taking them to the library and we're getting out.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet because then I got to figure out breastfeeding in public and all of that stuff. So I feel more guilty now thinking like, okay, maybe we should send her to school for a year and kind of see what happens. We're willing to take it like year by year. We're not like
Hmm.
committing 100% to anything because we're just going to pray about it and be flexible, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting from you throughout this whole time you've been speaking is just like step by step. Like, yes, you're having this goal. Yes, you want to do this, but it's really educate yourself, keep it real with yourself, speak to your husband about it. And it's all about being a team,
Yeah.
healthy environment. And so that's really what I'm getting from you. And it's a beautiful thing. Okay. It's truly
Listen,
beautiful.
thank God
And
for
it's
my husband. I would not be able to do,
wait,
I
wait,
know.
wait, wait, wait. That we're not going, we're
Oh,
not
okay,
there
okay,
yet.
sorry.
We're not there yet. I'm gonna leave that special question for last, but
Oh, okay.
it's really inspiring. I really hope that you and your husband can keep sharing the journey of as much as you want, obviously, about life with kids, doing things from scratch, homeschooling, or even bring your kids going to school. I really feel like it helps. Um, I know it helped me, okay? I know it helped me, but
Yeah.
when your kids will continue to grow up and hopefully they will look at this video, I hope hopefully YouTube don't take it down or something like that. But if they can look at this and all that you've done for them, all that you've been to them as their
Oh,
mommy,
you gotta make me
what
cry.
what would you hope that they will say about you?
That is such a beautiful question.
Mm-hmm.
I I hope that they would see this and just remember me this way. Like, wow, that's mom. She's happy. She's full of joy. I remember when she used to make us little chicken nuggets when we were young. Like, I want them to have those memories of me being like this. Everything is not perfect, every day is not perfect, but I definitely want them to remember me for being the mom that tried
Mm,
to do something different, although I didn't have that example, so to speak, right? Like, I want them to know, to remember like the memories that we had in the kitchen. I think that's probably going to be a big part of them when they grow up, is just remembering the memories in the kitchen, cooking, cinnamon rolls and pizza
mm-hmm.
dough and all of that stuff. Yeah, I want them to remember me happy for sure.
That y'all started from the bottom. Y'all started from McDonald's chicken nuggets to homemade
Yes, I
chicken.
used to love McDonald's chicken nuggets, but that was like when I was in college. I don't think I ever really wanted to give them fast food like that.
Okay, and what would you tell your kids? Like they're watching this video. What do you want to tell them?
How old are they when they're watching this, hypothetically?
That's a good question. 15, 16,
15.
17. Yeah, in their teens.
I would like to say that I'm sure they grew up to be exactly who I thought that they would be. Beautiful, intelligent, bold, confident, God-fearing, and that I love them, of course.
Hmm. And what would you like to say to your village, the sister that has been there, your mom, your your blood sister, I can imagine your twin. I don't know if you have any more, but what would you like to say to them, especially them being there for you during that postpartum phase, seeing you become the mother that you are?
I mean, thank you. My village outside of like biological family has grown over the years. We talked about this recently that I used to cry to my husband, like, I need
Mm-hmm.
more of a village because as you get older, you're not always connected to the people that you grew up around. And So my village has grown. So I truly thank God for sisters like you and the other sisters that I know that I can reach out to if I need a reality check, if I need somebody
Mm-hmm.
to pray for me, to laugh with, to tell them a crazy moment that happened in the house with the kids. Definitely thankful for for that. I'm thankful for my mom, who when after I had my son, she literally canceled a doctor's appointment that day to come help me because
Wow.
I was distraught. Literally. And that reminded me, and I told her this third postpartum, because she wasn't able to be here as much. Again, she still lives an hour and a half away. But even this third time around, she was there for the home birth, which was beautiful.
Okay.
But then she left. I'm like, where are you going? Where are you going? And I don't think she realized like that I still wanted her to be around. I'm like, I don't care how many kids I have. Every woman always wants their mom. If their mom is
Mm-hmm.
present in their life, you always want your mom to be around because you just need it. And so having her, for this experience, because this was her first time actually seeing me give birth.
Okay.
Yes, and she was like adamant. She was like, when I told her I had my first contraction, she drove an hour and a half. Mind you, she
Wow.
had stayed at my house all weekend waiting for the baby and he didn't come. So she
Wow.
left and she went back home. And then when I told her I had the next contraction, she said, I'm coming back. So she drove an hour and a half back. So thank you to my mom for, that support. She's the one who recorded everything. So I have actual footage of the baby
Mm-hmm.
and that experience.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone. And then my twin sister, of course, being a constant source of support, encouragement, and encouraging me to just keep going.
That's a blessing. Would you have another home birth if you would to get pregnant again?
Whew. I think I'm good. Okay, I don't think I want to have any more children.
Okay, okay, okay. That's what you meant.
But if I did, if it would be a miracle. If I did, I would
Mm-hmm.
have to. Me and my husband talk about this. I would have to have another home birth because that experience is not like the hospital experience at all. That was my best birth experience. And I would need that kind of care every single time moving forward. Unless it was medically necessary for me to go to
Mm,
the hospital, I'm not crazy, right?
yeah.
But if it was not medically necessary, I would have to do a home birth again.
You don't want to settle for less. So I'm surprised we didn't go into it. Can you briefly walk us through how like what was the environment for you at home giving birth? Who helped you out? Like
Hmm
where did you give birth? In the shower, on the toilet? Like, how did that go? How did that go?
It was a very peaceful experience. Like I said, I started my contractions. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had my first contraction and I just kind of slept, the rest
Hmm.
of the night. Woke up, it was about 7 a.m. and we alerted the midwives. We thought that today would be the day. He came like 2 days after his proposed due
Okay.
date. So I'm anxious. I'm like, when are you going to come? Like I'm ready to not be pregnant anymore. I stayed in my room all day in my bed. That was the advice from my midwife is to preserve your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, giving birth is like running a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
You see people like curb walking and they doing all this stuff trying to get the baby out, they're losing energy. So
Yeah.
my midwife says, stay in the bed, stay hydrated, empty your bladder. Those are like her three pieces of wisdom. That's exactly what I did. I laid in the bed and I just kind of breathed through my contractions, which is something I learned. Breathing deep breaths in, deep breaths out all day up
Mm-hmm.
until my breaths didn't change until maybe like the last hour. It was when I had to change my breath to like those deep moans and
Mm-hmm.
groans, right?
Yeah.
And that's when my husband knew like something is different. We need to blow up this pool. I mean, put the water in the pool. We were in my bedroom, put the water in the pool. And so once my breath kind of changed, the midwife was on her way. She wasn't there when I got into the pool. Like another lady came because they tell you to leave the door unlocked when you
Okay.
go into labor. So people just was walking in my house, like coming upstairs, like to assist me. And I think I was probably in the pool for like maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know. He was born very, very quickly, like after the
Okay.
midwife came. But it was very peaceful. Again, my mom was there. My two other children were there, like peeking in the
Mm-hmm.
water. My daughter was like fanning me. It was like such a beautiful, peaceful experience. And then my husband was right there, like at my side. He wasn't in the pool, but he was like leaned over the pool, holding my hand, and I gave birth like that. It
Wow.
was-
And I feel like because especially for your daughter, the fact that she was there, I feel like that will probably add to
Yeah.
her, because I feel like a lot of our generation, we didn't really get to see that with our moms and stuff like that. Their
No, I don't
experience,
know
I feel
anybody
like
who's ever done this before. I mean, of course, I
exactly.
think our ancestors
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
but I don't know anybody personally in my like immediate, circle that has done
yeah.
this. So I was the first person, and I had to keep those. I didn't tell everybody that I wanted to do this because I knew
Mm-hmm.
that people would have reservations, they would have
Mm-hmm.
negative thoughts. And like I said, it's a mental thing. You
Yeah.
have to make up in your mind that you're going to do it and learn management techniques, so on and so forth, because there's no turning back after a
Mm-hmm.
certain point. And so I had to preserve my peace during that time. So I didn't tell a lot of people. I told, some sisters, and people were praying for us, but it was after having a hard pregnancy, my birth was beautiful. It was
Okay.
like he came out and we just sung to him. Like it was
Wow.
very beautiful. I cried. Like that was my first time like really just weeping after having the baby.
Okay. You
Yeah.
felt it all pretty much,
Yes.
all
It
the
was
love, all the
yes.
rawness that birth comes with. And
Hmm.
for this is a quick question. For those that have never gone through it, how would you describe contractions?
The contractions were the hard were to me the contractions are the worst part
Uh-huh.
of the labor experience.
Yep.
But my contractions again, when you're home, you got to think when you go to the hospital, you got bright lights, you have people poking you, prodding you, they're hooking you up to monitors. That's a stressor during the birth process. So because I didn't have any of that and I'm literally laying in the bed in my comfortable clothes, my husband's bringing me food, helping me stay hydrated, that removed one layer of pain.
Okay.
And so my contractions they weren't as hard up until the last hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I asked this because some people will be like, "Oh, it feels like really tough period cramps." Like
No, you cannot compare labor pains to period cramps. Period cramps put labor pain. I mean, labor pains put period cramps to shame. Like
yeah.
it's not an equal comparison. It literally feels like somebody's squeezing your insides
Yeah.
like a rag being wrung out, and then once
Mm-hmm.
you release the rag, the pain
Oh,
releases.
that's a beautiful example. And on top of, I don't know if did you have back pain?
No.
Like, okay, you didn't have back pain. Okay. And now, obviously, my last question that I've been saving for last. When you think about your husband and how supportive he's been, um, just to bring back things that you mentioned that he's done throughout your motherhood journey, for example, when you said you had your two kids and you were anxious, you didn't want to go nowhere, he had to, be there and bring the kids wherever they needed to. When he was able to take them outside, get help, allow you to have that break that you deserved and needed, you know?
Deserved.
How,
Period.
yeah, how grateful are you for him and how important for you it was it to have the proper husband to have kids with?
Listen, thank God. Thank God for thank God for my husband. I think that's this is naturally who he is. Like he's
Hmm.
a natural, what's the word I'm looking for? Not nurturer, that's not the word. Like servant.
Okay.
He's the servant everywhere, right? Like he is extremely passionate about just making people feel loved and supported. Like that's just who he is.
Hmm.
And so when we got married, I knew that he would be a great partner, like, because of that, right?
Hmm.
But when we had children, obviously it increases your level of respect and love and care for your spouse when they are supportive and involved.
Yeah.
And I will say my appreciation level for him went up this last pregnancy because I was sick at one point and he had to just step in and do everything. And he consistently does that whenever I'm down, whenever I need a moment. He knows me well enough that I don't even have to ask him. He just steps in and does it, right? And
Hmm.
so I am extremely grateful. And it is we know this because of our faith that it's important who
Hmm.
you marry. It's extremely important. I don't even know how else to say it. It's extremely important, and I'm so grateful to my husband because he's just that type of husband and father. He's present, he's involved. A lot of it stems from, his childhood and maybe not having those things and then wanting to be that father for his children, right? But
Yeah.
he wants to be involved. He wants to be a part of every doctor's visit. He wants to be there because he's my like advocate, right? He's the
Mm.
one who he don't play about me, basically. It's what I'm saying. He does not play about me and
Yeah.
our children and our family, and he respects that. He takes his role seriously,
Yes.
is what I should say. So I'm extremely grateful. I wouldn't be able to do all that I do, if I didn't have his support for sure.
Hmm.
People have asked me like, how has your postpartum been? And I'm like, it's different this time because he's been home and
Hmm.
I'm not doing things alone. I know that there's some people who are alone even though they have a spouse, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not doing things alone. And so that makes all the difference.
Beautiful. You're not married single, as they call it, you know?
I thank God for that. I don't boast in it.
Yeah,
I
no.
think I thank God for it. And I thank
Hmm.
God for, what we are learning in our faith because
Hmm.
that's the difference maker for sure.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this really concludes this conversation. It was a truly, truly a beautiful conversation. To see your story, to see your motherhood journey, to see the impact of having a good village, a good husband, a
Yes.
present mommy, sisters, and the awareness of what you're getting into when you're going into motherhood. So I'm really appreciative that you came on. Really, really, really
Thank you for
appreciative.
having me.
No worries. And this concludes this episode.
Yay.
Yeah.